zone for a while. Join Jason and Mike in true Marvelite style as they wax poetic like true believers.
Excelsior!
In the Marvelsphere.
Spidey sense tingling.
The Marvelsphere.
It's clobberin' time.
We're in the Marvelsphere. In the Marvelsphere.
Avengers assemble.
The Marvelsphere.
Hey, Bob.
It's time for Marvelsphere.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Marvelsphere, presented by Neverending Radical Dude. We're your hosts, Jason Furie
and Mike McGee. We're both big Marvel fanboys. Jason is a fan of X-Men, particularly which character?
Cyclops, Scott Summers, all the way.
And I am actually a fan of the Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, today it looks like we're going to have to delve into something that's front and center with the Marvelsphere, ABC's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Now, this is a program that is directly tied into the Marvel Cinematic Universe that was established with films like Iron Man, Thor, and the Avengers from a couple years ago. And what were your thoughts when they first announced this TV show?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Marvel, always have been. You know, when you're a kid and you're buying comic books, you can really only afford so much. So I just staked my claim in Marvel and more specifically X-Men. So, you know, over the years, I've just become a big Marvel fan and I'm just like eating anything that has to do with Marvel. So I was a fan of the concept. I think Marvel's a great fit for TV. And, you know, I gotta say, I love the character, Agent Coulson, who was created for the Marvel Universe on film.
Spoiler sense tingling.
He gets bit pretty hard in the Avengers movie, and you think he's dead, and this show was bringing him back, seemingly out of nowhere.
I was a Spider-Man fan first and foremost when I was younger. I tried my best to follow Marvel in the comics throughout the years, but, you know, other interests took hold. And it wasn't really until, like, this new slew of Marvel films came about that my passion for the House of Ideas got reignited, and I began to start collecting again comics and start following the storylines and characters. And especially with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, I was actually kind of jazzed for the idea of this show. At first there was some hesitancy, like, how can they take such gigantic concepts, such gigantic ideas that play so well on the big screen and fit them into, you know, primetime television format?
I would agree with you saying that these movies and films and hopefully shows like this definitely reignite my interest. I've always read the comics, but this is something that really gets the general public involved. Before you'd have to go to the comic store or just talk to someone and they look at you like, you like comic books, you weirdo? And you just be like, oh. So this is just a really fun way to get everybody talking about it.
When I heard about this series, or at least the pitch for the series right off the bat, my mind went to that comic from the 80s called Damage Control. This follows Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., obviously. That's what the series is titled. But I believe that series just followed like a group of people who were responsible for superhero cleanup, essentially. Like after big fights, they were the ones sent in to take care of leftover robot remains or jailing supervillains and things like that.
Yeah, and that's something that the creators, you know, Joss Whedon, Jed Whedon, something they've always said. They want to talk about the heroes behind the scenes, the people that are cleaning up the messes or, you know, taking down the villains that we don't see on a day-to-day basis to keep the planet safe, pretty much.
This series actually takes place after the events of the Avengers, and the entire world is still reeling from the fact that we're not alone in the universe. New York is rebuilding from the alien invasion, and pretty much all these heroes are now out in the open, like Captain America and the Hulk and Thor.
You wouldn't be able to tell from watching the show, though.
Yeah, that is true.
They're always
so that's
like talking like, oh, Iron Man would have done that, or don't act like the Hulk, and you're just like, okay, they reference it a lot verbally, but you don't really see those connections that much.
Well, let's talk about that, I guess. Then the initial reactions, good and bad, that we had going into the first couple of episodes. And
yeah, we're 13 episodes in. They're taking a little hiatus until early March, so we've got a bit of a break. But speaking of the pilot and the first few episodes, you know, I got to say, I was pretty interested in it, and it was a little lackluster. It's got that kind of new show syndrome where it takes a while to really sink in. but there are hints that they're aiming for bigger stories or bigger ideas. But I think that initial hook just wasn't there for me, besides the fact that I'm a Marvel fan, besides the fact that I like Agent Coulson's character. Something felt a little hollow about it.
What was interesting to me was the idea of actually bringing that character back, but since, like you said, he got kind of a rough end of the stick in the Avengers movie, and
Literally.
there's this whole sense of mystery surrounding his return to the story and how it'll play into kind of the larger story, if it will play into the larger story. What were your thoughts on like the whole name dropping, what they tried to do in those early couple of episodes to be like, we're part of the Marvel universe?
It bothered me a little bit, but at the same time, it's like I know they have a lot of pressure to live up to these amazing movies that are just making billions of dollars, and I don't know what they were going for in those first few episodes. And I think they kind of screwed the pooch early with a few plot lines, like trying to kill off a major character. I remember the Simmons character was in a death-defying incident on the plane where she had to sacrifice herself, but there just wasn't any investment yet for that kind of episode. We didn't really know who these characters were yet, or so she jumps off the plane, who cares? It's like there was no gravity to it, really.
Yeah, outside of Coulson, probably I really didn't have much investment in the cast initially, also because I know Joss Whedon likes to skew a little bit younger with his cast, and at times it's kind of stretching the realm of believability for me with regards to, are these really fully seasoned agents? They look like they're fresh out of high school.
Definitely. Yeah, the Grant Ward character, who's kind of the pretty boy of the show, is definitely seasoned, but he's 24 years old or something like that. It's a little more believable with Clark Gregg's character, Phil Coulson, and Melinda May's, they're in their 50s, so I get that they're seasoned, but yeah, everybody just seemed to be knowing what was up and just performing without hesitation.
Is there any aspect of the show you feel they could have done without right out of the gate, maybe?
Nothing very specific comes to mind for that should definitely not be in the show. You have characters like Skye, and you're just what is this person doing? Is she mysterious? Is she not? And at the end of the day, I just didn't really care. I didn't care about that character. She was boring. I think they wanted her to be kind of the person we follow into this new world, and you just kind of riding her coattails into this universe, but just a very kind of bland, boring character.
Everyone has a pretty much established role. She kind of moves from role to role. There was a point where I'm is she going to be a love interest for Ward or not? Oh, she's going to be his apprentice? Oh, okay, she's going to be Coulson's apprentice? Oh, she's got mysterious background, enemy wants her for some cryptic reason. Oh, wait, she's in this predicament now where they left off in the series. I don't feel like they found a proper niche for her yet. Everyone else has their own roles, like Fitz and Simmons, they're the science geeks. Ward's pretty boy muscle dude. Coulson's the leader. Melinda May's the badass weapons field expert.
Yeah.
Steely warrior woman. And she's just Skye's just kind of floating around from role to role as the plot serves her. Well,
definitely we have the advantage of seeing 13 episodes now, so they are alluding to more of a mysterious past that ties in with some of those main players, which redeems it a little bit just when you're watching those first few episodes, they're just picking this girl pretty much off the street for being able to hack well, and you're just would S.H.I.E.L.D. be just doing that, or would there be a little bit more rigorous process for recruitment? So it'll be interesting to see where they're taking that character and if they can win us over in the end with her. I think something that Whedon is really good at is kind of creating these characters that are just kind of seemingly 2D or boring, and then just kind of flipping over your perception of them.
What are some character or plot highlights that you really are enjoying?
The first few episodes were okay, I'll give this a shot. It's like reading the first few episodes of a comic book. I usually give it 2 or 3 comics before I say, I'm not spending $4 a month on this. So I was just kind of on the fence with it. And then the rest of the episodes until the winter break, which would be episodes 1 through 10, I was ready to drop this show. If I wasn't such a Marvel fan, and if I wasn't curious to see what they were going to do with it, I would have been long gone. If this was just called Agents of New York or something, I'd just be boring and not watch it.
Good grief! If
It's the negative zone.
The Marvel hook really keeps me in there. But I gotta admit, after the winter break, episodes 11 through 13, they really kind of won me over a little bit with some of the episodes. We had some strong episodes with some great character development with Agent Coulson's character, and even my favorite episode so far with Fitz and Simmons' characters, you know, going back to their old school and just kind of, it's like revisiting college. They're just going back and seeing what's up, and it really fleshed out those characters to me and Coulson's character. And I gotta say, I'm on board again and actually looking forward to new episodes, which I didn't think I would say, quite frankly, after those first 10, because I was the guy going to the comic shop saying, it's the worst show ever. Why are you watching this crap? But then I was just watching it, so I'm just a hypocrite, is the lesson here.
For me, one of the highlights was actually what they've done every once in a while throughout the show to, really kind of humanize the characters, especially Coulson, who, you know, in the movies was given a little bit of screen time here, a quip here and there, and a pretty important role in the Avengers film, but then they really kind of flesh out his backstory a little bit, not just the mystery of his past. For example, the episode I Spy, where it's one of his former proteges as the enemy, and she's kind of being forced to do horrible things and, you know, by this shadowy organization, and he's actually going to try to, like, reach out to her a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I actually appreciated that episode a little bit. It was a little bit slower and more deliberate with its characterization, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely after the winter break with, what was it called? The Magical Place, where we kind of get a sneak peek at what's been done to Coulson.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised they got away with that on, you know, primetime network television and on ABC, which is like all family and yucks.
Yeah.
Like, the Goldbergs is right after this show. It's like...
Yeah, you see his,
Spoiler sense tingling.
surgery bed and his brain's exposed, and there's like these awesome little machines kind of like picking through his brain, and he's screaming that he wants to die. Like, that's what I want to see. That's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, like you said, it's a very powerful scene. His performance in that scene and when he's discovering that information, you know, kind of a dual performance going on there is actually really, really convincing. But the entire time I'm watching it, I couldn't help but think that, like, you know, those little, like, mid-rolls on shows would, like, that usually pop up at the bottom of the screen, be like, check out 2020 coming next, or check out this show coming next. Like, I have expected, like, a character from the Goldbergs to pop up during the surgery scene, and he's like, hey, check out our show coming next on this fun-loving channel.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, I was talking to a friend the other day about, like, violence on TV, especially, like, network TV like that, and I was like, well, you know, I couldn't believe they showed it. It was like, well, ABC showed Lost. People died all the time. But, you know, something like that never happened in Lost. That's mostly like off-screen deaths or just like really slow romantic deaths or accidental deaths. But this was like straight up exposed brain and just him screaming that he didn't want to live. It was just pretty effective. So I got to give him credit for pushing it that far.
What is your favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe tie-in reference or cameo or whatever?
You know,
because I can think of our worst probably, but I want to think what the best one is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a sucker for the Stan Lee cameos, and we got that in the latest episode tracks, episode 13. Just having him kind of butt in for a second on the train was pretty fun. But to be honest, most of these things just are so forced. You know, we had Nick Fury for a little bit. We had a couple of the agents on there, and it's just like, bleh, like they're throwing them in there. They're just not that fun, to be honest.
Yeah, especially the episode, the Thor Dark World tie-in.
Oh yeah, I was so excited for that. And then it was just an artifact they found?
Yeah, some artifact, and they found an Asgardian who'd been living on Earth who was Janosch from Ghostbusters 2.
Oh God. Correct me if I'm wrong, but by the end of Thor, the Dark World, there's like a hulking ice beast running rampant on Earth, destroying everything in his path.
Yep.
Weren't you led to believe that that's what the episode was going to deal with?
You'd think something like a giant killer alien creature,
but it's just
roaming
like,
around.
We found a shard from the shaft of this tool that gives you powers. I was like, boring.
You find shards for tools all the time in this show.
Yeah, it's like I remember when I heard the news, someone was like, "Oh, they're going to tie in Thor. It's going to be cool." I was like, "Well, let me guess. They're going to find a Thor artifact of some sort." Like, no, they've already done that. And then that's exactly what they did. So,
Good grief! It's the negative zone.
So we got 13 episodes under our belt. You know, I think we can both agree this first half of this season has been a little uneven, but that there's kind of starting to hit a stride now with these later episodes. Where do you want the series to go, or where do you want this season of the series to go in the next 13 episodes or, 10, 12 episodes?
yeah, I don't know how many they're doing this year. I assume there's probably about 10 more to go. And I would like to see them keep up the current pace they have with these last 3 episodes. They were very good at developing the characters. They each kind of focused on a character. They were more mature. There was a lot going on.
Spoiler sense tingling.
We got the introduction of Deathlock, which isn't that exciting to me, to be honest. I like the character, but it just seems kind of desperate to throw him into this show. But I'm still interested in seeing like kind of a badass on this show that can do some damage. I'm interested in seeing Bill Paxton jump on board. He's supposed to be in at least 4 episodes, I believe, coming up. I like that. I would like to see some more meaningful tie-ins. I don't mind that they're tying it into the movies. I think it's a great idea to do that. But you can't just like say their name or show us a shard of something. You got to give it a legitimate tie-in. If you're gonna do it all the way. Don't just kind of half-ass it. I'd say more cameos is always good, and I think to be a little more bold with it, they have to do something drastic, like even kill a character. Let us know that these people aren't safe and cushy where they are. Do something really dangerous to someone in the show. Sky, maybe that'd be good. Yeah, take out Sky. I think we'll do something.
Hey, well, if they can't find a place for her,
Oh, you got mixed up in the wrong business.
The thing is with Joss Whedon and his brand of television,
Yeah,
he does that quite a bit. He'll throw in an out of nowhere dark moment or fatality or something like that you weren't expecting, and it leaves you kind of talking about it later on, like, oh crap. Well, okay, where do we go from here?
Yeah, we just haven't had that yet, so I'm kind of waiting on that. What about you? What do you think? What's going to win it for you? What's going to say, man, that was a good second half?
Honestly, like what you said, more meaningful cameos. I always thought that the one character from the big screen franchises that could translate well into the show would be someone like Hawkeye, played by Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
That's a more
Black Widow.
I mean, or Black Widow, even a character that is a little bit more involved with S.H.I.E.L.D. primarily. Those are both S.H.I.E.L.D. operatives, and also they're not. You don't have to spend a lot in terms of CGI. Hawkeye doesn't Hulk out or whatever.
Yeah.
Black Widow doesn't call down thunderstorms on people. They're very grounded characters that rely primarily on brute force and brains.
Yeah.
And skill with a bow and arrow. So, you can do that on a television budget. And you can make those characters a little bit more intricate to these plots, since they are based in this, fictional spy organization already. The
trailer to the new Captain America movie, The Winter Soldier, is already a better Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show than the show.
Yes.
Yes. That's what I want from the show. Obviously, they can't do the budget the same, but just that espionage and that action and that kind of, feeling with the hierarchy there. And it's so hard to do on TV, I guess. But maybe it doesn't have to be. Maybe they can just take a few notes from that movie when it comes out and give us something that we want.
But also, you don't want to play all your cards too soon.
Right.
It's like you don't want to just go out all big and be like, everything's going to hell in this first season right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. True.
I think they are trying to play with a mystery of what is this shadowy Centipede? Is that the name of the organization?
Yeah, Centipede and the Clairvoyant.
Yeah, like they're not trying to play all their cards too soon, but at the same time, also with Joss Whedon Productions, you never know when you might get canceled.
It's true.
So
they've got the Marvel Disney backing now and on ABC, so chances are it'll be a little bit safer.
And speaking of which, like, I don't know, we got a couple of trailers coming soon, hopefully, I think, right?
Yeah, hopefully. And we're living in the age where we get teasers for trailers. So if you guys haven't caught it yet, there's a 10-second teaser for the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel's summer tentpole film. And by the time you hear this, you should be able to download or watch the full trailer. If the teaser of the trailer got you excited, the full trailer is going to knock your socks off. So I would look out for that.
And like you said before, Captain America, Winter Soldier coming in April, I believe. Amazing Spider-Man 2, though it's not part of Marvel Cinematic Universe, is still a Marvel movie.
Yep.
Coming in May. X-Men Days of Future Past coming in May.
On my birthday, so they better give me Cyclops on my birthday, or I'm going to be cranky and fickle. Yeah, and of course, the return of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on March 4th. So I think it's safe to say we're both optimistic about the show and also a bit skeptical, but willing to give it a chance. I want it to be good. I'm rooting for it.
Me too.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Marvelsphere. Be sure to check into neverendingradicaldude.com for your latest in nerd news.
And as always, face front, true believers.
Enough said.
Excelsior!
Never do that again, dude.